Welcome to SportsBanter. This is Bryce, and I'm joined by Luca and Calvin. And today we're doing the NFC off-season grades for signings. Yeah? Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah.
NFC North time. We're talking about the Chicago Bears. Luca, what did you think of the Chicago Bears' signings?
So the Chicago Bears. I didn't think they did too good. I'm sort of thinking like a D. They got Andy Dalton, who's not that great. They got Desmond Trufant, who I've never heard of in all honesty. They got rid of the GOAT, Trubisky. I think they were just banking on this whole season that they could have gotten Russell Wilson, and that never happened. They franchise tagged Allen Robinson, but he's not. I don't know if he's good enough to franchise tag him. I don't know. This just seems pretty bad from the Bears, but not a full F in my opinion. So I'm just gonna go with like a D, maybe a D plus.
Yeah, I agree with that. They got a D plus from me. They lost a lot of good pieces on defense, or at least a couple, and they didn't really upgrade almost any positions. I mean, they lost Mitchell Trubisky and replaced him with Andy Dalton, which is debatably an upgrade, if you want to call it that. But yeah, they didn't do much. D plus.
I gave them a B because my criteria is extremely different. So the Allen Robinson signing was very, very good. I don't know why that's debatable.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best wide receiver free agents that were available, and they franchise tagged him. So hopefully they do a long-term deal with him. Yeah, the quarterback situation's kind of weird. Like, yeah, the Andy Dalton signing wasn't the best, but I don't think it was the worst. You could have signed worse players. I mean, were you going to pay Trubisky a lot of money? I don't think so. So, like, it's a serviceable replacement. Mario Edwards had a fantastic season last year, so I think with re-signing him, you could build off of that. And they had the solid acquisitions of Jeremiah Atachu, who's linebacker. They signed Desmond Trufant and Deion Bush. So I think that this was it was a solid, free agent signing for them, but I'm not too low on them.
That's fair.
So next we got the Detroit Lions. Calvin?
Detroit?
Yeah.
They were pretty middle of the table for me. I'd give them about a B, B minus. We'll call it. They had a couple of really good additions. I think Trey Flowers is a good signing. Justin Coleman, a couple other players, and they lost a couple people as well, but they're not too many big losses for them. So I think it was a good success. I'll give them a B. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave them a B as well. They re-signed Aquara. I don't know how to pronounce that. They signed Williams from the Packers. They got Perryman. I think they're wanting a slightly younger team. I thought they did pretty good. B.
Yo, I'm on some different stuff because I got a C minus. I don't really like the Jared Goff trade. Wasn't that good in my opinion. They signed Brashad Perriman and Tyrell Williams, which I mean they're solid receivers. I like the Aquara signing. That's what kind of saves it for me.
Aquara, yeah.
They say they got Michael Brockers, which I think is hilarious because Brockers was talking about how he's happy to play with Stafford, and then he got traded to the Lions.
And they don't have Stafford.
So he just dissed Goff, and then and now he's still on the team with Goff. And they signed Alex Anzalone, who's former New Orleans linebacker. He's decent. Just nothing screams out like this was a good offseason. And they lost Kenny Golladay. I don't know how they let him leave for nothing. I don't understand the Lions. That's a C minus in my book. But next, we're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers, and I'm going to go first because I have them as one of the lower teams. They get a D minus in my book. They re-signed Aaron Jones. That's basically all they did. And I don't even think you needed to re-sign Aaron Jones. I would have been okay if you just let him go. I mean, You're paying him like $20 million over the next 2 years. Like, I get it, but at the same time, running backs are replaceable.
I don't know where the disconnect is, but I have the Packers as an A-.
You can go, Calvin.
What?
Because
Whoa.
they did not only just re-sign, but they got Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Adrian Amos, who is a very underrated safety, stolen from their rival, the Bears, and they were really able to minimize their losses pretty much. I mean, they only had a couple of big names that they lost. So I mean, overall, it seemed like a really good period for the Packers. They get an A-.
Did I? Wait, hold on. Dude, NFL's transaction page is tripping because they had like 3 re-signings under the Packers, like in total. So I didn't even know all that happened. Also, actually, Calvin, you're wrong. They restructured those contracts. That's not a re-signing.
Okay, but it doesn't change my opinion on it.
It didn't do anything.
Well, when you're making it to the NFC title game, I think that you don't really have to do much.
Well, I mean, did they get better to put them over the top? I don't think so.
Anyways, I'm sort of different from both of y'all. I have the Packers as a C.
That's fair.
I think they've done a little bit. Re-signing Aaron Jones to me was good. $48 million for 4 years is a lot of money, but I think it's still smart to have them. The players that they did sign, I'm not really familiar with them, but they sound like good guys. And the thing with the Packers is that they already have a good team, so it's not like they had to do too much. How they're looking right now, I think they could have done better things, but they could have definitely done worse things. So I just have them at a C.
All right, and the last team for the NFC North is the Minnesota Vikings. Calvin, yeah. What do you think?
I would give the Vikings a D+. Well, no, C-. I'll give them a C-. They didn't really. They lost a couple of good pieces. They didn't really add too much there, except for the. Yeah, they didn't really add too much at all. They were able to upgrade their offensive line a little bit, but that's not much. So I mean, yeah, C+ or C-. Excuse me.
I'll go because I'm a little different. I think the addition of Dalvin Tomlinson is really gonna help their defense. He's very good. I expect good things from him. Getting Patrick Peterson's good for the short term. I think they did all right. I mean, it is the Vikings, so don't ever expect anything too incredible from them. But I think they did actually okay. I'm giving them a B.
All right. I have same points as Luca, like the exact same points, but I have Calvin's grade as a C-. It was solid, just nothing too crazy.
Okay.
So, all right, next we're going to the NFC South, and we're going to start with the Atlanta Falcons. One of you Georgia people can do it.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So they have technically done stuff. They got Brandon Copeland. They traded for Lee Smith. I don't really care either way. I'm giving them an F. I think they did pretty bad. They literally, I know it was for cap or whatever, but they literally signed Matt Ryan to a longer contract. That is just an F, in my opinion.
I gave him a D- because they at least signed to Mike Davis, and that I think is the only thing that they did good. Everything else, no.
I gave him a D. I think that, re-signing Matt Ryan isn't a bad move. I think that he just really has not had a chance to be good under the Falcons since 2016. He's still got a lot of potential in him. They just don't really.
Oh yeah, no, he is surrounded by he's surrounded by bad coaching and bad players. You are right. Well, not everyone's bad, but I get what you were saying.
Yeah, but they really didn't do a lot. They had a slight bit of improvement on the interior line, but that's about it. So they really just look very incomplete. And obviously, free agency isn't supposed to fix everything, but they have a lot of holes they have to fix. So it's a D.
All right, now for the Carolina Panthers. Dude, I guess I should start.
Okay.
I'll go. So I gave him a C. Like it just screams average. They built up their offensive line with franchise tagging Taylor Moton, and they signed Hassan Reddick. And I haven't looked at the free agency stuff in a couple days, so I don't know if they did anything else noteworthy, but that's the only two things that I have written down, so they just get a C.
Yeah, I gave them a C as well. They signed Pat Eflin. They franchise tagged Moton, like you said. I don't know. It was all pretty mediocre to me. I just see it as a C.
Yeah, the Panthers got a C- for me. They added a couple of pieces to the offensive line, but they had a lot of losses, and I don't think that they came out of this better. So C-.
All right, next, Luca, you're going first. I just want you to tell the people what you gave the Saints.
I gave them a D.
Yeah, you did.
They franchise tagged Marcus Williams, re-signed Jameis Winston, re-signed James Hurst. Franchise tagging Williams is probably the right thing to do. And Winston, I mean, he's not the ideal QB, but you got to go with him. But man, they didn't sign anyone. They need better players. They're not going to win anything with this team they have right this second. And I know how Bryce looks at his grades is like what they can do in the draft. And the Saints, if they can pick up some baller players in the draft, that's going to help them a lot. Just looking at how this team is from the free agency, I'm grading them a D.
I guess I'll go next.
Yeah, you could.
I would also give them a D, maybe a D+. I didn't care for how they they did all right given their circumstances in the free agency period. I mean, they were the most cap-strapped team in the NFL. So you do have to applaud them for that, but I'm not giving them a pass just because they were in the worst situation in the league and they happened to get out of it. Because any team that is in that situation has to get out of it before the season. They're not getting points for doing what they had to do. And looking at all their transactions, I mean, they lost a lot of good players and they didn't add too many other good ones. So they're going into the season, as you said, with Winston at quarterback. Maybe their tight end / QB / wide receiver / whatever else they need him to be, but
/ GOAT.
They, I think that they didn't do very good. They did good at getting under the cap, but they still lost a lot of players, so they're getting a D+.
And I want to say this right quick. I don't think, given the situation they were in, I don't think any of us should have expected them to be an A in the first place. Yeah. So this is just saying that, like, I mean, compared to other teams, like, they just didn't really do anything. So that's why the low grade.
All right. I gave him a B-. All right. It's the Saints bias coming in, but just want to address a few things. Number one, Luca, you're making it sound like the Saints are complete garbage. They're not.
Yeah, I know. Like I realized that when I
team.
said. I realized that when I said D compared to all the other teams. No, they're still a good team. I'm just saying they didn't do like.
No, you literally said they're not going to win any games with the lineup that they have, and I strongly disagree.
I meant
still
like big
think they're
games,
going to be
like
good.
playoff games. I just worded it wrong.
Look, I think that the Saints, given the signings that they made, they can be a borderline wildcard team, and look, they lost a lot of players, yeah. But a lot of those players were either A, old, or B, replaceable. So I don't think it's that bad. The only exception is Trey Hendrickson, which, yeah, we lost him because the Cincinnati Bengals overpaid them. Like, I'm cool with that. Franchise and tagging Marcus Williams, it helps. It helps the secondary a lot, especially with the unknown status of Marshawn Lattimore, who got arrested last week. We don't know what's going to come out of that. I think the Jameis Winston signing is very lucky that the Saints got him back, given that he could have just left to go anywhere else. And Jameis probably would have gotten paid a lot more if he went anywhere else. Ultimately, like it's been said before, the draft really is going to solidify how this team is going to do this season. But I think that the Saints, given the situation, yes, I know that Calvin has said that, yes, he's not going to get points. He's not going to give points for what they had to do. But I still can't just ignore that the Saints kind of went through $110 million in cap, and they don't look that much worse than they were before. Take it for what you will. So, next team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
So, everything I just said about the Saints, I'm going to sound super hypocritical on, because I said they just didn't really get anyone, so I'm going with a D. Buccaneers didn't really get anyone, but they re-signed all the free agents that they needed to re-sign. And that, in my opinion, is an A-. Super Bowl winning team, good record team. You got freaking Rob Gronkowski back. If you got Rob Gronkowski back, that's automatically a good grade in my book. So I'm going A-.
Yeah. I gave him an A. Look, they re-signed everyone that they need to do. And they're a Super Bowl team, and they were also kind of strapped by the cap. Obviously not as much as the Saints, but they were looking like they would have some trouble getting everyone back and keeping everyone under the cap. And so like I did with the Saints, I'm giving the Bucs a little bit of extra credit because like they kept their core and they made even less. They had even less losses than the Saints did. So that gives them an A for me.
I'm not usually one who likes to give a lot of points for re-signings. That's not really something that I value very highly. However, I think that the biggest exception has to be the Super Bowl winner. So they got a B+ from me because they didn't really add almost anybody, but they were able to bring back almost all of their players. I mean, they did have a couple of additions, but they brought back the core. And while I don't think that the Buccaneers are the best roster in the NFL, which you can obviously disagree, they just won the Super Bowl, they definitely have a huge force on their roster is a huge force to reckon with. Like they have a really good roster, and bringing back all those players is extremely important. So they got a B+ from me.
All right, so speaking of kind of re-signings, Calvin, I think that I want to hear what you have for the next team, which is now in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys, who they were defined by a re-signing.
Oh, the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I would give about I'd give them a B, because they were able to get Dak Prescott back, which is a very big win in my opinion. Dak's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if you ask me. Just because he wasn't here to play last season doesn't mean that he's not good. He was on pace to set a lot of records if he had been able to play all 16 games. So I hold him very highly. They were able to sign Randall Cobb, Jason Witten, I believe. And so those are a couple of good signings. They didn't lose too many people, so I think that overall it was decent for them. So they get a B.
Jason Witten, I thought he retired.
Oh, did I say that wrong? Hold on.
I'm pretty sure he's retired.
Jason Witten, the tight end?
I mean, he was on the Cowboys for a long time, but they might have signed him for like a one-day deal so he could retire a Cowboy.
Yeah, I think I was wrong.
Yeah, he's retired. He retired.
Okay, gotcha.
He signed a one-day contract to retire as a member of the Cowboys.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why you did that, Calvin, because I thought you didn't give re-signings too much credit, but like I get it, it's Dak. I gave him a B-. All they did was re-sign Dak. Anything else, like they got Keanu Neal, good for them. Like they didn't do much, but the Dak re-signing is very important, and so that's why it's a B- and not a C-.
I actually have them as a just straight up B. You can maybe talk me into a B-, and I'll be fine with that. I don't think you could talk me into a B+ though.
No.
I think Dak Prescott, good re-signing. They really needed him. I was thinking Neal too. I think it's a decent pickup from the Falcons. But I think they did decent, and for me, a decent's about a B, B-, C+, that kind of area. So I'll give them a more higher decent with a B.
All right, next team is the New York Giants, and I'm giving them a B+ because they had a huge offseason. They got Kenny Galladay, which is in my opinion, he was the best wide receiver in the free agent market. I said Allen Robinson was one of the best. And Kenny Galladay for me was number 1 in wide receivers that are free agents. They re-signed Leonard Williams, which I think was a fantastic move for them. He got like 8 sacks last season for them. So he's a really good pass rusher on the defensive line. And I think the Kyle Rudolph signings, it's solid. Like, you're giving your quarterback some good weapons. Because arguably last year, the problem with the Giants was offense. I don't think they had a lot of defensive problems. And so they addressed it in free agency with giving whoever the quarterback may be some weapons. So that leads me to give them a B+.
Yeah, I gave him a B+ as well. I think re-signing Williams was awesome. Galladay, awesome. They got Kyle Rudolph. He's good. It was just good. It was just good. It was really good. I'm thinking B+.
Yeah, I also give them a B+. Kenny Galladay's a great pickup. They also have, as you said, Kyle Rudolph, who I think is a very, very good tight end. So I mean, they have more weapons for Daniel Jones now. So personally, I'm not a big fan of Daniel Jones at all. I don't think that he's that good. However, he has this season to prove me wrong, and I think that also goes for the rest of the NFL. I think everybody's looking at him right now, and if he can't succeed with these weapons and in this team, I think that they're going to move on. I know that was off topic, but I just figured I'd give my 2 cents.
I do agree with you, but in all fairness, I know this is the NFL. This is different from other sports. He is only 23. That is young. I know Burrow's 24, and then you got people like Deshaun Watson and Baker. They're like 25. So 23, 25, that's not that big of a difference. But he is only 23. So say that what you want.
Yeah.
To me, that says something.
Yeah.
At least.
I mean, I'm not giving up on him yet, but I'm also not pegging him in as the starter.
No, he ain't the GOAT. Yeah, no. He's not amazing, but I think there's chances that he'll be good.
Yeah, I didn't mean that he'd like drop out of the NFL after this. I just mean this is really, I think, his last chance to win the starting job with the Giants.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep.
All right. Next team is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh gosh.
That's how I feel too.
I'll start with the Eagles. This might be bad. Y'all might disagree with me. I'm giving them a D. They got Anthony Harris for 1 year, but he's not helping you rebuild. The Eagles need a rebuild. This is just not good. I feel for who do I feel for? Jalen Hurts. I feel for him so bad. This is a D. This is just a D. All right.
Luca, there's no way. I can't disagree with you. It's a D. Like, they only signed Anthony Harris, and they got Joe Flacco, man. Like, I mean, is this supposed to make Jalen Hurts feel comfortable? They're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And they're just they don't feel like doing anything about it. So, dude, that's a D. What the heck?
I will give them a D+. I agree with basically everything you guys said, but they also got rid of Carson Wentz, so I mean they get a little boost in my
that gets you the little bonus point. Okay.
The Carson Wentz hate is real. Anywho.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to reiterate.
Yeah, go for it.
Getting rid of Carson Wentz and moving to Jalen Hurts is a win. I understand that they're paying.
That is a win. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand they're paying a lot of money to that man, and I would mark them off, but that's more because of their previous season's decisions to pay him rather than it is this season's decision to move on from him. I don't think they're going to get the work out of that money anyway, so it's probably better to just offload him, try and get rid of as much money as you can, move on to your next quarterback.
See, I'll tell you why I'm not giving them credit. It's because they screwed it up anyways. Like, whoop-de-doo, you finally got rid of Carson Wentz. Like, it took you long enough. Man,
I know. That's why they're only getting a D+ from me.
If he stayed, I would have given him an F probably. I don't know, man. Washington football team. Somebody make me happy.
I'll go. I'll go.
Yeah, go.
And I will probably be the lowest rated out of this group, mainly because I'm not a massive Fitzmagic fan like you two, or at least Cal. But I do rate him. He's good. I'm giving the football team a B. Franchise tagged Brandon Sheriff, signed Fitzpatrick to a 1-year deal, re-signed Dustin Hopkins, signed Curtis Samuel, and they signed William Jackson from the Bengals. Those are 2 very good players. And they got rid of Alex Smith. So they did good, but I think they still need. I like Heineke. I do like him, but they do need a long-term QB eventually, unless if Heineke is going to be the man. So that's why I sort of have him a B. But in the case where I said I would be swayed to a B minus, not a B plus, I would be swayed to a B plus in this situation. But I'm more comfortable giving him a B.
I'm throwing them an A minus, just for the reasons that Luca already said. I think that they don't. Their needs. There's not a lot of needs at this point because they signed William Jackson. They retained Brandon Sheriff. Like, they have a capable quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I think that signing alone puts you at a long way because, man, the Washington football team won the division last year with it. They didn't even know who the starting quarterback would be in the playoffs. Now you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, a man who's thrived off of being that quarterback that like just goes around to every single team. I can't remember the word of what that's called, but ignore that.
Journeyman,
exactly. He's a journeyman, and he's going to thrive in this situation. And that's why I think it's an A-minus move. It's a fantastic move, and man, the football team could be dangerous this season.
Okay, so I'm very shaky on this, but I'm just going to go ahead and give out my first flat-out A of the day. I'm giving the football team an A
of the day.
I think they did really, really good this offseason. They've got Heineke back. They brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick, who should be able to help Heineke learn as well. He just helped with Tua, and he's also a fantastic quarterback on his own, in my opinion. I mean, granted, he doesn't have the best stats in the league, obviously. He is a journeyman. He goes from place to place, usually filling in on bad teams. However, I think that he is going to fit in well in Washington. I mean, he's going to be throwing to Curtis Samuel now, Terry McLaurin, I think Adam Humphries whenever he gets back, Cam Sims, a couple other guys. I mean, he has some pretty good guys to throw to. I mean, I think a lot of these players were underrated last season because they just did not have a good quarterback throwing to them. So bringing in Fitzpatrick fixes a lot of things. Other than that, I mean, they already had a really good defense, in my opinion, especially their D-line. Being able to secure most of those guys and bring them back is also a huge deal for them. So, yeah, I mean, they got an A, in my opinion. I could probably be swayed to an A- if you talked me down, but they got an A for now.
Yeah, all fair. All right, NFC West.
Fair.
Arizona Cardinals, interesting team to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. For me, they're about at the same level as the football team, giving them a B. They got AJ Green. You know, he was good. I think he's still got talent. Still good, of course. They got Rodney Hudson for the Raiders. They got kicker and Matt Prater. And the big thing is that they got J.J. Watt. Did they overpay for J.J. Watt? Probably. Will he help this team? Yes. Will he lead this team? Yes. And I think J.J. Watt wants to prove himself with this team, all that kind of stuff. They re-signed Marcus Golden. To me, this is about a B. Yeah, but I think this is a good B though. I'm feeling good about this B. It's okay to be a B.
Yeah, I give them an A-. It basically the same as the football team. Just they made a lot of good re-signings. They have some good signings. Marcus Golden is for the re-signings. Marcus Golden is, I think he's a great compliment for J.J. Watt. He got 6 sacks last season, and this was like opposite side, like Chandler Jones, when Chandler Jones wasn't really performing to his highest potential. And I think that it'll only get better when J.J. Watt gets more attention on the defensive line. I think Rodney Hudson is the top center. He's one of the top centers in the NFL, and the fact that they got him from the Raiders is awesome. And I like the Malcolm Butler signing for 1 year. You might say, yeah, he might be a little washed since that Super Bowl magic, Super Bowl interception, but he's still a solid cornerback.
Yeah, I initially I was thinking to give these guys a B minus, but the Malcolm Butler move, it's convinced me to move them up to a B. I'm not riding as high on a lot of their moves as other people are. I think that they did fine. They did good enough to, I think, get into contention, but I don't think that they're really going to be on the next level next season. They're going to be better, but really I don't think they're going to be much better than they should have been this year if they had played up to their potential. So JJ Watt's a good addition. I mean, I like him a lot. He was a great asset to add. And like you said, Malcolm Smith. But they also added AJ Green, who I'm not too big of a fan of. A couple other guys, but yeah, they get a B.
All right, now on to the LA Rams, and I'm just gonna get mine out the way because I think I have the most ridiculous grade of all of them. I think it's an A minus for me because the Matthew Stafford trade, in my opinion, puts them over the top. They didn't really have to re-sign. They didn't have to take care of a lot. I mean, this team under Jared Goff last season, like, somehow snuck in the playoffs. And they looked like a good team. It's just the coaching was not there, because they lost to the Jets last season. I think that given kind of this new quarterback, kind of a new identity a little bit, they signed Deshaun Jackson, which that's a great receiver to stretch out this offense, and especially because Matthew Stafford can throw to him now. I don't think Jared Goff would be hitting as much deep balls as Matthew Stafford will in LA. And then they signed Leonard Floyd to a massive deal. He was very valuable to the Bears last season, so I think that, man, putting him at pass rusher with Aaron Donald, that's nuts.
I'm just gonna go. First off, I don't like the McVay hate you were saying about coaching. I think he's a talented coach. Just want to say that.
Yeah, but they lost to the Jets last season. Look, I'm sorry, but
dude, everyone had there's a fluke game. There's a fluke game.
They went 9-7, dude. They blew games that they shouldn't have blown.
The Browns blew to the Chiefs, a game they should have not blown. Well, they were never had the lead, if I remember right. It's okay. Things happen. You're still a great coach.
No, but things happen. But some weeks they look like complete garbage, and other weeks they look like Super Bowl contenders. Did you not remember that?
No, because I don't watch the Rams every single game they play. Yeah,
go ahead.
That's right, kid. I don't.
I'll let you think what you think, man.
I think they did all right. Dude, it's a C, just to me. All right. I think Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback, but I mean he played the Lions for a long time, so you rate how good someone is at the Lions. So this is where he really proves himself. I think the Rams want to win now, but they did lose some talented players. That's why I'm thinking about a C.
So this is one of the teams for me that falls into they didn't really do that much. They just kind of re-signed guys, but even then they didn't have to re-sign so many people. And for the sake of consistency, I can't really rate them too highly because of that. And that's just ignoring the Matthew Stafford trade. Because I don't really know how to grade the Matthew Stafford trade, because I think that he is a good quarterback. But I am not too sure about that because he's always played with the Lions, and we always hear, oh, he's fantastic if he was just on a different team. But he was always on a team that was not good. So I'm really not too sure about how good he is. So I'm not very confident in my grade for the Rams, but if that ends up being good, then they probably get about a B minus from me. If he ends up being bad, then it's a good bit lower. But I'll go ahead and say right now B minus. I'm kind of in the middle of both you on the Sean McVay stance. I think he is a fantastic coach, but he did seem to have a lot of boneheaded decisions last season, a lot of just places where he failed the team. So maybe it was just an off year, at least for the second half, or maybe he just had a couple of moments or a couple of lapses, or maybe he's just losing his edge. But I think that he's still a good coach. I wouldn't give up on him, certainly not. I think they'll be back in contention next season, so B minus.
Look, Calvin, I'm in complete agreement with you here. I'm not saying that Sean McVay is terrible, but I'm not going to excuse that last year, a couple of games he looked fluky. There were other games that he looked awesome when they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's had great games, and there were games that you'd say like, man, this is Sean McVay. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. But then there's games like against the Jets where it's like, where did they go? So that's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Next team is the San Francisco 49ers.
Is no one going to go? I'll go. Yeah, since no one wants to talk about this horrible just team. Basically, my junk's freaking out. Hold up. Basically, they re-signed a bunch of players. I still don't think they did that, which is good. I'm giving them a C+. They re-signed Trent Williams. They signed Samson Ubeckham from the Rams. I probably butchered that. They re-signed Kyle, not even going to try to pronounce his last name. But I think a lot of these players are going to fit under Shanahan's system. I don't know. I think this was decent from them. Could have been a little better, but definitely could have been a lot worse knowing the 49ers. So that's why I'm feeling a C+.
I'll go with this one. This is, I know I literally just said it, but this is another team that I really want to hold my grade for because of the fact that they just traded up in the draft. Oh man. I don't really like, they did fine this offseason. They'll be okay. I think they'll be better next year than they were this year, mostly because they'll have a lot of their guys back from injuries. But I'm not too big of a fan of how they handled the offseason. However, that's because my biggest gripe with this team is that I don't think Jimmy G is that good of a quarterback. And you don't have to tell me if you disagree or not. That's not really what matters here. That's just why I don't really have them too highly. That is one of the positions that I think they need a little bit of a better player, and then they'll have a better team. That being said, what they're going to do in the draft this year could completely change how I feel, because they technically, that trade up in the draft was part of the offseason. So I'm including that in my grading. That could end up being a very, very, very good thing for them, and a very, very good in my grading. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a B. Just hold them flat, somewhere in between. Because if they sign a really good player with that pick, they're going up. If they don't, they're going down.
All right. So when grading this is under my off-season signings section. So to me, the trade doesn't factor into my grade. Just throwing it out there. I gave them a B too. Like they made, I think it's underrated. They signed Alex Mack, one of the better centers in the NFL. They re-signed Trent Williams, so they're boosting up that offensive line. And yeah, I don't understand the hate for this team. I don't think they're as bad as everyone thinks they are. I think that they can easily bounce back this year. They also re-signed a couple cornerbacks to accommodate for, Richard Sherman is probably not coming back to the team. But they have Jason Verrett now. They have Emmanuel Mosley. Two players which I think will be very good under the Kyle Shanahan's defense. But I think this team could be very good. It just depends on the injuries because, the injuries kind of messed them up over the past couple years, except for the year they made the Super Bowl. But I think this team has a chance. Don't sleep on them.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're going to finish it up. Last team, Seattle Seahawks. Dude.
I guess I could do this.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, go? Yeah, sure, whatever. Oh, okay, I'll go. Yeah. No, I have them as C+. They re-signed Chris Carson, which is good. They got Jared Everett from the Rams. He's a tight end. He could prove himself. Russell Wilson's the big question mark here. I mean, he's still there. He's there. I think the Seahawks might do well in the draft or something, but they didn't do too much. But at the same time, what did they really need to do? Probably a better O-line, which they traded for the Raiders O-line player Gabe Jackson, which will hopefully help them, and Russell Wilson's attitude with the team. So to me, they didn't do too much, but they didn't do anything inherently bad. So C+.
They got a C from me. I think that they should have added more people on the O-line, but maybe they handled that in the draft. Who knows? Other than that, they re-signed Chris Carson, signed a couple other guys. Not too much going on, so they got a C.
I give him a C plus. Like I said, nothing too much going on. I feel like they need to work on the offensive line. I also think coaching might need a little bit of help, but like that doesn't count under offseason signings. Gabe Jackson and Ethan Pocic, good offensive line help. Not the best, but like it's better than nothing at this point. And re-signing Carlos Dunlap, I think it was a good decision. It's a solid signing for this team. And of course, there's Chris Carson.
Mm-hmm.
He's very talented, and I don't think they signed him to too big of a contract. So I give this a C plus. But
Fair,
that is the end of our NFC off-season rankings. If you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and come back next week for other sports, maybe football. I don't even know yet. Well, until next time, this has been Bryce, joined by Luca and Calvin, and we will see you all in the next video.
Adios.